Good morning. This is the regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the Fairport Municipal Commission. And if we could, Holly, are you gonna, okay, if you're gonna MC the meeting, very good. Could you call the roll, please?
Okay. Commissioner Jordan?
Present.
Commissioner Stuckey? Here. Commissioner Fritsch?
Here.
Commissioner Schlava?
Here.
Chairperson Keith?
Present. Thanks, Holly. We have some illustrious guests in the audience this morning. We have some presentations that will be made here shortly. The first thing to do, though, is review, approve, comment on last month's minutes and whether they're satisfactory for the commissioners to accept.
So moved.
Yeah. Have a motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, pass 5-0. And we start with item number 1 on new business, the billing and payment options presentation. Mary Beth, you gonna be taking us through there, or is Holly gonna take us through there? Holly's
Good.
okay.
I'm going to take you through it, but I'm also going to let Mary Beth interject whenever I say something wrong. So just bear in mind, she's the expert in this matter, and I'm still learning. So we wanted to talk to you about the various billing payment options, especially given the recent problems and delay we've had with our lockbox. And we'll talk a little bit more in depth about what we've discovered, the reasoning behind that is, and what we're hoping to be at least an improvement in terms of those response times. But one of the things that we wanted to talk to you about was the various billing payment options that we do have. So we're going to go through that. And before we get started, we did want to talk to you about the billing office. So we currently have 3 billing clerks and 1 billing manager. Obviously, we have Mary Beth, the all-time greatest billing manager. But we also have 3 billing clerks. We have Nicole Ritz, Janine Panapinto, and Lindsay Carr. All 3 of them answer phones on a regular basis for any customer calls. So if there's somebody that has a question on how to process a bill payment, they're great. They'll be happy to walk you through any of the payment options and hopefully provide you with great customer service. So we also wanted to introduce, we've recently, as of, I believe, June 23rd, or roughly thereabouts, we introduced a new bill format that was mainly for ease of use, but also it added some additional benefits of, we were able to get color copies and so that people can see it better, but it also let us add in some further information into the bills that we previously didn't have. So if you haven't been billed yet since mid-June, then these will be what your new bills look like. As you're going through it in looking at it, take a look when you get your new bill and see if there's any questions that you have, concerns. We've gone through it. It's been a several-month process to make sure that these look clean and are on track for all the customers to see. So hopefully you like them, and hopefully you agree that they are an improvement on our bills moving forward. So before we get further into what the different types of billing methods are, we want to give a little bit of a definition information for you on what billing terminology we have. Auto pay is when you are automatically, when we say auto pay, we mean that you're automatically scheduling monthly payments through either the billing portal, or you can do it through your bank to some degree. And we also have a drafting method that we're discontinuing, but that is a auto payment that was historically set up by our billing office. So we also have Bank ACH. That's an electronic payment, money transfer set up through the customer's bank. There's e-checks that can be set up as a one-time or an auto payment. Those are electronic checks through our app, portal, or kiosk. The payment portal is our online website, or you can also, we have the app-friendly version to pay bills for Fairport Electric. We also have a lockbox, which is a payment processing service location. It's where the checks get mailed to if you're mailing in paper checks. And as I mentioned, we have the drafts, which are auto payment set up and processed by the billing office. So with that said, we have various payment methods. We have the bank ACH, which again is set up through your bank. We have the mobile app and online payment portals where you can pay by credit card or e-check. We have a kiosk downstairs that's open 24/7. That is, payments are accepted by credit card, e-check, or cash. And we've recently changed the location of our lockbox. So we are now going to be any checks that are mailed in should be now mailed to Charlotte, North Carolina. And we also, again, have the drafts. We're no longer accepting new customers on those drafts, and we'll get into why, but there are historical customers that have been set up on them, and we're keeping them until they change their accounts. So this is all based on May 2024 data. So for May 2024, we had about 37% of customers were paying by e-check, 12% were paying by credit card, another 23% were paying by bank ACH with their bank, another 18% were mailing in their checks to the lockbox, and then we had drafts of 8%, and then roughly 2.5% is the kiosk payments that were made. As you can see, the credit card percentage for kiosk was technically 0, but if you round it all up, it's about 2.5. So not a lot of payments are going into those kiosks, but it is important that we have that set up and available so that anybody that's coming in and wants to make a payment, they can. There are various costs associated with these payment methods. For the kiosk, e-check, and cash, there's no cost to the customer, but because we were eliminating the opportunity to pay in person at our desk, we wanted to make sure that there's no payment to the customers. But we do have a payment for Fairport Electric. We're paying $1 per transaction plus $60 for an armored service to come and pick up the cash. We also have kiosk credit card payments. That's 3.95% or $3.95 per transaction. They can pay a max of $299 for each transaction. They can make multiple payments, but it will be an extra fee associated with that. And again, it's $1 per transaction for anything on the kiosk. There's online credit card payments, which are, again, $3.95 per transaction. There's the same limit if you pay online with the credit card. We have a $369.40 per month fee associated with allowing credit cards to be collected on our app. In terms of the bank ACH, there's $0 cost to the customers, but there may be fees associated with that payment method on your bank side, so we are not going to factor that in, but it's just something to note as you're looking at what your options are. We have a 10-cent transaction fee for that, as well as a $25 transaction per month. For the online and app e-checks, there's $0 transaction cost for customers, 45 cents for Fairport. For drafts, it's $0 on both sides. And for the lockbox, as of next week, it is going to jump up to 73 cents for customers to pay for the stamp. And it's 37 cents per transaction for Fairport. So, so looking at the average cost per transactions, the credit card are the highest cost per transaction. The kiosks are the next highest, but again, we want to be able to offer people the opportunity to pay in person. And the lockbox, because of the increasing postal cost, is actually one of the higher costs now. So that's just something to keep in mind as you move forward. for all of our customers. We want to make sure that you guys are having the best customer experience, and that means trying to eliminate those costs for you, but also eliminating the cost for Fairport. Win-win situation is we are able to get everybody on one of the cheaper options that is user-friendly for everyone. So we'll get into a little bit more on the details of what we're recommending. So we wanted to talk to you about the discontinuation of drafts. So as you look at the costs, you're probably wondering why we're getting rid of the drafts when it's $0 for the customer and $0 for Fairport. But the thing is, due to the security concerns, we're keeping those people that were historically set up on drafts, their bank account information is held on our servers, it's held on our system. And if there's any changes to that banking information, then we have to track down that customer and try to figure out what happened. And just in terms of the cybersecurity issues that we've had, there's major security concerns that we have decided to discontinue drafts in terms of adding new customers. Those who have historically had their accounts set up as drafts will not need to make any changes. We're not going to be shutting it off immediately or anything, but we're going to be moving forward with not adding additional people on that system. When a customer needs to make changes to their payment method, they can contact the billing office and we can help them set up an alternative payment method and do auto pay so that they're still they still have the payments coming out on an automatic basis, but that way they can set it up themselves. They know that their account information is secure, and we're not responsible if there's a typo in the account information. They can type it in and they know for sure that it's accurate. So for that reason, we did decide to discontinue drafts. So Mary Beth is going to come up and talk about budget billing.
I did have one question
Yeah, absolutely.
on, the security concern. Like, what would trigger the account information to change so a customer needs to get off of the draft?
So if they have a change, for instance, if their account was fraudulently used and they decided with their bank to change bank accounts,
Okay.
then they would need to contact us or else the draft is going to be returned. Because their bank account is no longer active. If they closed or if they changed to a different financial institution, then they wouldn't have that same financial institution anymore, that we'd be able to draw the accounts from that.
Okay. And do you envision like a hard cutoff eventually of this method if there's security
So we
issues?
are no longer adding drafts at this time.
Right,
nothing
new, but there's quite a few people still using it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we will have a hard stop eventually, but I mean, it is, a ways down the road as the billing office continues to wean people off that into more secure, better ways to pay their bills, then we will, eventually, yes.
Okay, okay.
We haven't taken those forms of payment in 4 years. So what we'll eventually do is we can change a parameter in the computer to change them to e-check. They'll keep being processed. And the customer won't have to set it up themselves until they call and say, my banking information has changed. Then we'll delete it on our end, and they'll go in and set the e-check up themselves.
Okay. Thank you.
So budget billing is where we take the average of a customer's bill and they get the same bill amount every month. You have to be on auto pay to be enrolled in budget billing, and it recalculates every April. So we try to encourage people that want to start using it, especially if they have electric heat, to sign up in April, because if they sign up during the winter months, when it recalculates in April, they won't like the recalculation. It's a very underutilized form of payment, I think, but when people call, we try to encourage them to get on it when they call about high bill complaints in the winter. And for some reason, people just don't sign up. That's it. That's budget billing.
So there are no additional fees associated with budget billing, and you must be enrolled in autopay in order to enroll in it. But like Mary Beth said, it is very underutilized, so we wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of it. It keeps your bills level throughout the whole year, and for the most part, it is very useful for those people that are financially struggling to be able to keep that levelized bill.
How does budget billing take into account, like if you're buying incremental power or, and the fluctuations there, how does it work, I guess?
Budget billing is just based on your past year's.
Just your prior years?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and that's what you'll pay for the year. If someone does call us during the year and say, you know what, my budget figure's way too high, we can reevaluate it and change it manually during the year if we see that they are building up a large credit.
Okay, thank you.
It's gonna be one of the important things that we, promote in the future. As the winter costs get higher for our customers, the cost of power and other things. That's gonna be an important, promotion to our customers. That's one of the nice things with the new billing format. We can change some of the messages, on a month-to-month basis to, help promote those things. But you'll definitely see more of that, social media and other advertising that we'd like to get people on that, especially people that are struggling. Even if they're not struggling, it does even it out, for the course of the year. So.
And I imagine, Matt, that the ongoing project to replace the meters to give the customers more visibility into what their data is would probably build some confidence towards, understanding that a little bit more.
Yeah, we would hope so, that the customer utilizes the information that, we can provide to them. You can't force anybody, but obviously, will be available to them.
Makes sense.
So under budget billing, if somebody has underpaid for the year, does that just get spread out over the next year?
Yeah, the following year, they'll have a higher budget figure.
In terms of the delayed lockbox issue, this spring there has been a delay. I think I mentioned at the last meeting. There's been a delay in the time between mailing checks to the lockbox and the lockbox processing the checks. It was taking up to 4 to 6 weeks for those checks to process on the lockbox. We did determine that this is part of a nationwide service disruption of the USPS. They did some regional distribution system changes, and the cities in the country that implemented this new distribution system were seeing higher delays than everyone across the country. One of those cities was Atlanta, where we were previously mailing in our checks. So we are hoping that the lockbox location change to Charlotte, North Carolina in June will help to improve the processing times, but that is still a nationwide disruption. So we are still working with, our billing office has been actively communicating with Lockbox, the Postal Service, and our customers regarding the issue. There was a note on our old bills. There's still that note to let them know that those checks are taking up to 4 to 6 weeks to process, and that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to talk to you about the various options that there are to hopefully sway people to use one of the methods that processes slightly quicker or significantly quicker at this time.
Yeah, Holly, I've dealt with a couple issues with Mary Beth over the past few months regarding this specifically, and the one thing that is apparent is these people like this this process, instead of some of the other options, and would prefer to stay with it. When do you think it'd be a good time to have sort of an update on how things are going with the Charlotte location versus having been previously in Atlanta? Because it may or may not make a difference because of USPS operations, I guess. But would it be a good thing to do an update if we can in a few months?
An update,
Just how things are going with the
yeah,
new
we
location.
can do that. I mean, I would give it a month or two
Yeah,
so we can evaluate how, if it has changed at all.
okay,
I mean, it seems to be getting better, but
right.
maybe people just are getting used to it too.
Yeah, and, the most, I guess, most of these issues get diffused, you know, through the billing office. But a couple of them have come to me, and Mary Beth has been more than very helpful from the standpoint of that. But again, these people, their preference is to use this method of payment. And so it's sort of like a taste grace, less filling type situation, you know, when you talk to them.
Is that timing something that you track? Like when was the check dated versus when did we receive it?
We don't really have a tracking system for when somebody mails it and it comes in. The only thing we have are the customers that call asking where their payments are. And we judge it by the calls that are coming in. And when we do have customers call, we can more or less peg down. You know, it's funny because you'll get a bunch of customers calling and they all say, we mailed our check on May 3rd. So, you know,
A whole batch of them?
yeah, so it's always a certain date, mail payment date, that we get a big surge of calls in. So, but the calls seem to be subsiding. Like I said, I don't know if it's getting better or if people are mailing it sooner.
Thank you.
So in conclusion, we are recommending that customers enroll in autopay using eCheck on the online payment portal or the mobile app. They can work with our billing office if they are struggling with setting it up, and that they sign up for budget billing so that they can have levelized bills throughout the year, especially those who are struggling with making their payments on a monthly basis. That enables them to have that levelized payment and hopefully be able to afford the payments throughout the year, even if the winter is significantly colder than it was this past winter.
And with the budget billing, we also do run a report a couple times a year to make sure that people aren't carrying a huge balance and the budget is lower than it should be, so they aren't hit with a really large bill the next time. So we do run that a couple times a year just to make sure people's budgets are in line.
We're gonna try to push people over to the mobile app. I mean, part of that is, you know, there's a ton of information that's provided to the customer. You know, if they're, you know, is it usage? I mean, it's pricing, I mean, and that's been around for a while. I mean, it's a really, I mean, it's a good service. It's it's something that really doesn't cost the customer. It's easy. It's on everyone's phone. You can set up reminders. I mean, there's just a ton of benefits to it. So that's one of the things that we like people to utilize more, especially going forward as we start to get into outages and everything else. Outage management systems. All that kind of flows back in through the app and things. So we'd like to get people used to it and using it.
And with the rest of these payment methods also, a plus that customers don't realize is if you pay it online or through the app, it posts immediately to your account. You can pay it the day it's due and it'll be there in real time. And that's another benefit for the customer when they pay it instead of mailing it.
All good. Any general questions or questions on the presentation? I think it's good to know that. And that, based upon my recent interactions with Mary Beth and everything else we talked about, all the other options, but people have their preferences, I guess is the best way to sum it up. So.
Yeah, I want to thank Holly and Mary Beth and the billing office. I mean, they spent a lot of time putting this together. This was questions asked from previous commission meetings. What are the available options? And I think that's part of you getting the complaints from people that but the postal service issues are out of our control. But I do understand that customer service and the billing office has done an amazing job. So they put a great presentation together, and
Yeah, it's very good, thorough, should answer our questions. I'm at your disposal if you need me. Thanks, Mary Beth. Thanks, Holly.
Yeah, thanks for putting this together. This helps equip us if we have questions that come to us, then we're prepared with understanding. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess we can receive and file that, for lack of a better,
Yes.
process
Yes.
as far as the presentation went. And we can move on to the agenda. And thanks, Mary Beth. I guess go have a cup of coffee and
She's not done
and
yet.
get ready for the first call.
So the second one, the annual conference review, I'd asked Holly, Mary Beth, and Luke to be here for that. This is a conference that they've actually combined our mapping system and our billing system together. These come up every year. They're typically in Atlanta or in Florida. So I'm gonna ask each one of them to speak on the parts of the conference that they went to. The billing software that we use doesn't just do the billing to our customers. It also ties in all of the accounting that Holly uses, ties into all the work orders and the operational things the operations center uses. And now that the companies are combined, it ties all of our GIS mapping together, which then also integrates into the outage management system and the smart meter system. So it's these links are very important in having people ahead of the game. So that was what the second agenda item was for, just so they can give you a short synopsis of what they enjoyed and what they did there.
Thanks, man.
So yeah, like Matt said, they did it. Those two companies did combine a few years back, which has been super helpful for us because all that does tie together pretty tightly. I think one of our goals that we talked about coming up with retirements and new hires and things like that is we're trying to get away from a lot of the custom design and development we've done in the background. We've gotten a lot of use out of it, but of course, only one person can really maintain it. We want to get away from that. We want to get to, be able to be supported by Meridian and Futura. So yeah, we've been working towards that. So I spent a lot of time at this conference with. There's an application called Staking that they run in the field, so we can design our jobs in the field. That pushes back to the network. Then we can see them on our desktops. But at the same time, that all ties into, like Matt said, the billing and accounting. Spent some time with their outage management application. They're kind of redeveloping that right now, but it's a very professional looking application. Like it's something you'd see, with a large utility like RG&E or something like that, where there's a web map for the public to see what's out. They can through text or through the phone system or our website, they can submit outage information, and it'll go right into the outage to that OMS. And then that application actually predicts what the cause of the outage is. It all pushes to the iPads in the fields for the crews, all that kind of stuff in real time. Another big change coming is to, I guess, the basic GIS application that I've been using it for over 20 years, and it's undergoing a major rewrite right now. So it's a big deal for Futura, who had developed the custom software based that towards utilities. So that's going to be a major undertaking over the next few years as well. So we spent some time in there. Also looked at some of the new reporting tools that we're gonna have in Meridian, because we do pull a lot of information out of our billing and accounting database for custom reports and things like that. So, yeah. And we had some fun too. It was good to go with Holly and Mary Beth. So, team building.
Yeah, this conference is always really beneficial because it keeps us up to date on some changes we may not have realized were done that we can use in our own utility. So I spent some time in classes doing hands-on training with the new Meridian platform about the life cycle of a customer's account, which was very helpful. And I also am looking into changing over our payment contracts into what they call a payment arrangement now, which will make it easier on our part and for the customer. So we're looking into moving those over to that, and that was very interesting. And we also are looking at different kiosks for the back. This one's getting a little outdated and clunky, and we looked at a couple of different options. We just have to have them priced out now.
Like Luke and Mary Beth said, it was a very helpful conference. Mary Beth and I actually attended a pre-workshop conference on leadership. We also saw some great keynote speakers throughout the conference. I attended a lot of the presentations on the accounting side, but I also touched on some of the customer accounting side just to learn a little bit more about the billing side of things. And similar to Luke and Mary Beth, I was learning about the changes that we're going to see as we move into our new financial software and see the differences that we're going to have from moving from one software to the next. So.
Discussion?
Sounds beneficial.
So I guess we can receive and file the updates, and does that take us down to item 4? Did we cover item 3?
Item number 3 is gonna be pretty quick.
Okay.
So we've been using our existing software vendor for 20+ years. Same company, they're gonna come out with a new platform. We started this process 2-3 years ago. They kind of stopped it for a little bit as they were having some issues transitioning some existing customers over to the newer Windows-based platform. And Holly and Luke and Lauren and Mary Beth and I had spent, I can't tell you, hours in training sessions doing these. But we were supposed to be the end of 2025. They just did kind of update us. They want to move us forward. The Village of Endicott uses the same software. They came in new. So they were going to use the same team. They just finished Endicott, so they're going to transition them over to us. And now it looks like the first quarter of 2025 will transition over to this. It's going to give us a lot of, more capability. The transition or the importing, exporting into Access or Excel will be seamless. For now, it's a little clunky. It is doable, but it just so we look forward to it. But it'll be a lot of work for sure. I mean, the next 12-18 months will be very busy for everybody as we transition over that new software platform. So, you're welcome.
Commissioners all set on?
Matt, when you say like we're going to a new platform, are we like hosting the servers and everything here, or is it like a service that we're purchasing?
We host them now. We'll continue to host them here.
Okay.
We host many different between the village websites and the is it police, is it DPW, is there a billing software, is it mapping? In the background, the IT side of the village is huge. But yeah, we just so there'll be one more thing that we transition over to.
Okay, thanks.
All set? Okay, thank you. FMC leadership training.
So we were lucky enough to have a gentleman come in that actually kind of teaches and does leadership training throughout the country and actually out of the country. He was a retired National Grid person. He was a helicopter paramedic and then a nurse for life critical systems. He climbs every largest mountains. He's the mountain climber, and he's retired now. We were lucky enough to have him. I've known him for a long time, and he came in and we spent a day. The morning we did kind of pure leadership training. There's 22 people that attended. That was what I consider that leadership group in the FMC. It was all the crew chiefs. It was department heads. We actually invited other department heads from out the village, DPW and police, and Brian and Megan sat in. So we had 22 people for the morning session, and then what we did is we asked them to leave, and we did just FMC in the afternoon. So we had over 40 people attend. That was every employee, closed down the billing office, and we talked about communication and just. Had some really good, in-depth, very low-key, but not formal, just so we could kind of break into this. Had a lot of laughter also, which was good. But yeah, we spent the day doing these. And these are important. We do budget for these, and this kind of got the whole group back, kind of a reset, soft reset, I would say. Made people think about things. The business that the line guys do is dangerous, and the customer service that the, billing office does, is stressful. How do we eliminate some of this stress and, kind of take it down to a level that helps everybody? So it was a very good day. And so, June 19th, we spent the whole day doing training for the whole company, and it was well received.
Yeah. Is there a copy of that presentation, Matt, anyplace?
I can get it for you, yes.
Yeah. I'd be interested to see what some of the
Okay.
topics and, thoughts are on that.
Sure.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Upcoming projects.
So after the pandemic, things have started to take off a little bit. Rochester Ice, which is the Thomas Creek Ice Arena out on Linden Road, they're going to actually add a third rink, along with quite a large, expansion. So they're going to double, if not triple, the size of their electric service there. Lollipop is doing a massive site expansion, both sides of the road, with new buildings, new services, so we'll have some circuit extensions to do there. We have subdivisions and apartments starting to come back. Kind of stopped during the pandemic and slowed down, but we have some large ones. I won't say in the works, but they're before the village and town planning boards. So they'll come out of there with some type of approvals. They typically get necked down a little bit. We have a small one out on Whitney Road West that's been approved. Have some small ones, these little 3, 4, 5 lotters. But then we have some big ones, Woodcliff and Furman and Fellows. I'm sure if you follow on social media, you've seen these. These are 200 unit apartments or more. It's good to bring in the customers, but there's obviously a lot of work that goes along with that. All of these, as they come on, will be, basically pure electric. The electrification, as it continues to get pushed, there is no gas. So we're going back to, to feed 200 customers, with electric heat, because, the heat pumps are going to work to a certain level, and then, what are we going to do after that? We're on electric heat. So it's that, building up the system again, to do these. So there'll be a lot of work ahead of us. I'll get into kind of number 6 also. With these come some, large investments, which we do budget for, transformers. A transformer to feed like Rochester Ice is in the neighborhood of about $35,000. It takes about 2+ years to get. We have one in stock we use right now, but it's replenishing stock. So as you see these come through, material procurement, that's, the costs behind the scenes are massive, to do this also. So I just kind of giving everyone, as you drive around, you see these expansions, which is great to see.
Yeah.
But the line guys will definitely be busy.
Okay.
Yeah, Matt, that's what I was gonna ask with respect to material procurement. I'm sure we'll start seeing a little more traffic in that area, and then obviously the pricing structures. I mean, you haven't seen any de-escalation in a lot of areas, have you?
No, I
Right,
can
so-
only wish and hope. I mean, it's, in reality, the transformers we ordered 2+ years ago, that should have been here July and September, they've pushed back into the first and second quarter of 2025. And there's a multitude of reasons, they want to, they blame labor, they blame other material shortages. The steel that goes in the transformers, they say, are going in the batteries and electric cars. There's only so much steel they can get. So all these things are starting to come to fruition. Everything takes a lot longer and costs a lot more. But all of this will get built into our rate case, which we're working on now. The days of, I don't think it's ever coming back that, nobody stocks anything anymore. I mean, you got to go with slightly different material. It's the new normal. So.
With those developments, I guess those developers share in any of the costs for those upgraded?
So by
upgrades?
tariff, we have a formula, and it depends on the density. Typically in those high dense areas, there is no developer contribution. The days where they used to build big subdivisions, big lots, single homes, there was a developer contribution. There is a formula written by the Public Service Commission for these.
Okay.
We as a utility have to contribute a certain amount to a new customer, so that's what gets factored in.
Okay,
You're welcome.
thank you.
And Matt, I guess I'm making an assumption that when we add a lot, like a significant amount of new customers that, like, it gets us to the threshold where we need to buy incremental power quicker, right? Like,
That
is
is
there a
correct.
formula for that? And like, is everybody, like, do all new customers have the same rate, for example, or is there like an adjusted rate, or
No,
how does that
all
work?
customers in our franchise pay the same rate. You know, the
Even
original customers, all the
businesses
new
is-
customers, I
yeah.
mean, not business, when we get it, we do have residential rates, we have small commercial rates, large commercial rates, industrial rates.
Yep.
And then we have security rates and street lighting rates. But I mean, so each one of those groups, so a residential customer that's been a customer for 40 or 80 years is going to pay the same amount for a brand new customer within our franchise. But yes, as you bring new customers on, does it push you into incremental? Yes. But there's times when we don't, or not in incremental, and that's the reason utility is in place with and we still do have open land, in areas, so, and we should expect a development on these.
Okay.
This is why we push energy conservation very, very hard, as we can, as people have transitioned over to heat pumps, and then during the pandemic, we did see, a drop in kind of a historical peaks and things. We kind of smoothed out the peaks or lowered the peak and, kind of made things flatter, which is good, the amount of power we sell over a 24-hour period.
Okay.
So those are good things, but yes, as we continue to grow, all of us pay, a factor into that.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All set, everyone? Okay. Move on to, I guess, that you touched on already, man.
7, I guess we're up to.
Or
So,
six with the transfer.
so 6 was the transfer. I just wanted to kind of, let everyone know that you're going to start to, we are procuring material, a little different, more efficient. You're not going to see the bid results and things. We still bid things out, we
Right.
follow the procurement policy of the village, but it just speeds things up as, we can factor those in. But for the rate case update, we, as you know, we have filed for a rate increase. The Public Service Commission has received it. They've started asking questions. We received our first 6 interrogatory requests, basically an information request. And, when they look at these, it's not like it was just 6 questions. One of them, I think was 2 pages and had 20 different questions. And some of these questions are very in-depth. Holly and Mary Beth and Lauren and Luke, and we all spent considerable time last week. They give you 10 days to do them. When you get them, typically you want to get them there as soon as possible. So they were due last Friday. We got those in, and I would expect a whole nother set today or tomorrow, and we'll start this all over again. Other municipalities that did these recently had anywhere from 70 to 150. So we've got 6 in. So next 6 months we'll be busy.
Yeah.
But it takes time. We knew it would take time, and it takes a lot of effort by staff, and we'll just keep picking away at it.
Yeah.
Does franchise growth impact the rate case at all? Like, are there
It is,
follow-ups?
it is
like that?
factored in there, for sure. That's one of the questions they ask. They'll want to see, historic growth. They want to look at future growth. And when they ask for, when you show them future growth, you have to show an approved subdivision, not just a pending one. So,
Okay.
Anything else? Nope, okay. On to the next, man.
I think this is
Thank
my
you.
last one. All right, personnel update. We have lost 2 linemen over at Argini recently. So as you see advertisements out right now, we're kind of mixed it up a little bit. We're looking for a first-class journeyman experienced. Then what we're actually doing is we're going to look for an assistant line foreman. That'll give Brent some backup. As he is given 24/7. He has a family. Just those things that we want to kind of, that job has just becomes bigger than it was before. As we fold, many different facets of the business into it. So getting him some help, and I've talked to him at length, and he's on board. So we're going to look for somebody, to come in basically of his level. That'll be his second. So, that way if he needs to do something tonight with his children, that we have immediate backup and we're not, doing these things along with, on a daily basis, it's applying safety and standards, to the operations side. So, so we have 2 openings. So you'll see those, and I would hope by the end of July, we could start to make some hires.
Thanks. I think Bill and I are available to fill in the meantime.
Okay. Sounds good.
Matt, completely support the assistant foreman position. It's long overdue.
Yeah.
I mean, that is, the foreman is, I look at it as the operations chief of the FMC, so I understand what that job entails, and like the email I sent a week or so ago with Brent answering the phone in Baltimore and essentially working remotely on his time off, it's important to have that next tier or that backup, so I support that.
Thank you. Yeah, it is a 24/7 job. I mean, all of us, at any given time, it's, things happen. We had about 5 or 6 calls over the weekend. It's constant communication. What can I do to help you? Support you in these things. It just, the job never goes away. There's no stepping away from it ever.
Yeah, comments you made, Steve, were very apt. Thank you. So are we on to the financial end of things today, Holly?
Yes, so we have the estimated June 2024 financial forecast. It's a one-page summary. So we did have an increase in cash for the month of June. That most of that was the collection of our under collection of PPAC that we had at the end of the year. We're back to just over, we have a very, very minimal over collection at this point. So we're right on track with that. And in terms of the receivables, we are seeing, as Mary Beth had previously mentioned, we are seeing a slight increase or slight improvement in those outstanding receivables that we had seen in the previous month. We're right on track with our historical cash balance. If you factor in that PPAC under and over collection that we've had in previous years. And we did actually have a higher kilowatt hour sold for the month of June than we've had for the previous 2 years. So that will hopefully help with some of the revenue. In terms of where we stand for the May financials, so our auditors are coming out at the end of July. They have started to make the request. They're doing their preliminary request to try to pick out some things this week and last week. And so I didn't want to show you guys financials that are going to be changing. So I have closed out, at least tentatively, the financials for May 2024. As of this minute, which it might change, we have about a $45,000 loss on the year for the total year. But that said, I am expecting them to make a revenue adjustment. They make it every year to adjust for the receivables that we have at the end of May. That's their choice of how much they want to book, which is why it hasn't been made yet. And we also will see some changes in terms of the pension liability or asset that New York State has for our pensions and the actuarial in terms of our post-employment benefits. That's a accounting entry that has to be made on an annual basis each year, and we don't get that information until probably sometime in August. Those are items that will be pending, but as of right now, I'm looking at about a $45,000 loss, which more or less is break even considering we have a 30-plus $1 million budget. So,
Thank you.
yeah, that's the financial update for today.
Thanks, Holly. Any questions, further discussion? Yes, no? No. Okay. Receive and file the financial reports and accept them from Holly. So can we have a motion?
Move. A second.
We have a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, pass 5-0. Thank you. And I guess you took care of the break even on the update for the year-end update, and now we have motion for the payment of the vouchers.
So moved.
Have a motion,
A second?
have a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There being none, 5-0 on the payment of the vouchers. Thank you. I would like to just, we had a communication from Mr. Bill Mayer, came in the wee hours of the night last night. And I would just make a motion to receive and file that communication. Thank you, Bill. We have a motion?
A second?
We have a second. So, those in favor of receiving and file this communication? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And no opposed, so it's received and filed. Okay. Next meeting, regularly scheduled, is, I believe, August 11th or 12th? 12th?
August 12th.
Yeah, that's right, 12th is a Monday. So, same time, 8 a.m., and same location. So, any other matters of the staff or commissioners before we make a motion to adjourn? No? Okay. We'll entertain a motion then.
So moved?
Have a motion?
Second.
Got a second? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. We are adjourned, and see you in August. Thanks, everyone.